Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Well, today is the day that keeps on giving. Just did a video regarding Police Commissioner Katarina Carroll possibly resigning today. So that'll be out a little bit later. But yeah, so a bit of good news. See how it pans out, eh? But yeah, very big news here in Queensland anyway. And then this story comes across, and mate, just infuriating when you read these studies and you see how government basically just poisoning us with the vaccine. And like, this has always been my issue with the vaccine. You want to create the vaccine because you've put out this pandemic. You should be, if you are a government that actually cared for your people, cared for the people you're supposed to be serving, there would never have been the mandates. Give people the choice. However, this wasn't part of the plan, was it? No. Let's have a look at this. So, largest COVID vaccine study yet finds up to 3 times greater risk. Reading this, I'm just like, what the flip? It's just infuriating. COVID vaccines have been linked to small increases in heart, blood, and neurological disorders. According to the largest global study of its kind, an international coalition of vaccine experts looked for 13 medical conditions among 99 million vaccine recipients across 8 countries in order to identify higher rates of those conditions after receiving the shots. They confirmed that the shots made by Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca are linked to significantly higher risk of 5 medical conditions, including a nerve wasting condition that leaves people struggling to walk or think. Yeah, that's going to be fun if you get that, isn't it? Let's see. Continuing on. But the study also warned of several other disorders that they said warranted further investigation, including the links between a brain swelling condition and Moderna's shot. Still, the team says the absolute risk of developing any one of the conditions remains small. For instance, 13 billion doses of vaccines have been administered, and there have only been 2,000 cases of all conditions, they said. Dr. Harlan Krumholz, director of the of the Yale New Haven Hospital Center for Outcomes Research and Evaluation. I love all these these ridiculously long titles that these places have. Anyway, and the lead investigator behind the study said both things can be true. So both things can be true. You can be saved from the virus with the vaccine, and you can also be killed by your brain swelling. Both things can be true. Yeah, thank you, doctor. So they can save millions of lives, and there can be a small number of people who have been adversely affected. COVID vaccines, and this is all. This is my exact point. They can save lives. Okay, you can also be affected adversely. This is why you should never have made mandates, and you should have given people allowed the choice, not under threat of losing your job. COVID vaccines are estimated to have averted more than 19 million deaths worldwide. Mate, if that's not an exaggeration, please. Including 3 million in the US alone. Among their discoveries was a twofold increase in the risk of a neurological condition known as Guillain-Barré syndrome, an autoimmune disorder in which the immune system attacks the body's peripheral nervous system, leading to damage to the protective casing around nerve cells. Oh, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? The report said that of the 23 million of AstraZeneca shots administered worldwide, they would have expected 76 cases of GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome, but 190 events were observed, accounting for a 2.9-fold increased risk. While it cannot be proven that the vaccine caused these events, there is some evidence the vaccine triggers the immune system to attack its own nerves. Meanwhile, the study also confirmed a threefold higher risk for a type of heart inflammation called myocarditis, though researchers did not give the number of expected cases versus actual cases. They didn't want to give those figures out. Myocarditis was seen most commonly in young men. It's believed to be related to immune response triggered by the mRNA vaccines by Pfizer and Moderna, which work by instructing cells to produce the same protein that sits atop the coronavirus. This prompts the immune system to produce antibodies against the spike protein, providing protection against COVID. In rare cases, this immune response may lead to inflammation in the heart muscle. I mean, it's only your heart, it's not like it's absolutely necessary for survival. Typically, the myocarditis instances have been relatively mild, leading to just 28 deaths. I call bull on the 28 deaths worldwide. Seriously? That's precious moments. Additionally, both the first and fourth doses of the Moderna vaccine have between 1.7 and 2.6 times greater number of instances of pericarditis, and inflammation affecting the protective sac encasing the heart. They looked at more than 39 million Moderna vaccine doses administered. Like the link between myocarditis and the vaccines, links to pericarditis are still under investigation. It is believed to be caused by the same mechanism, an overactive immune response that attacks the thin sac-like membrane. And don't you love the fact, they still continue on pushing these vaccines, saying trust the science. I mean, there's a few risks there, but we want to be able to push this out and make billions and billions of dollars off it. So don't worry about the risks. Just take the gamble. There was a greater than 3.7 times risk of a condition called acute disseminated, what is that word? Encephalomyelitis, ADEM, which causes swelling in the brain. That's got to feel good. Swelling in the brain and spinal cord. Oh, that damages the protective covering of nerve fibers in the brain and spinal cord. After the first dose of the Moderna vaccine, 7 instances of ADEM occurred following vaccination with the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, surpassing the anticipated count of 2 cases. There were nearly 190 million shots considered in the study. Crikey. The study also found that after getting the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine, there were 1.9 and 3.9 times increased risks of transverse myelitis and ADEM, respectively. Bell's palsy, which causes temporary weakness or paralysis of the muscles on one side of the face, had an increased odds of 1.05 after a first dose of the Pfizer vaccine. There was also a 1.3 to 1.4 times greater risk of having a seizure. A seizure? What? Following the first and second doses of the Moderna vaccine, as well as the fourth dose of the Pfizer vaccine. Yeah, actually, rap that our governments just kept telling us to keep getting more. The researchers added a major caveat to this finding. Chances of having a neurological event following acute SARS-CoV-2 infection were up to 617-fold higher than following COVID vaccination, suggesting, how did they get to these chances? How did they get to these odds? How did they come up with that number? Suggesting that the benefit of vaccination substantially outweighs the risk. After a first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine, there was a 3.2 times greater than expected risk of cerebral venous sinus thrombosis. The risk after the first dose of the Pfizer vaccine after the second dose were 1.49 and 1.25 times higher. Oh, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. I love the way they still keep throwing in the propaganda about, yeah, no, it's all good. You're better off getting the vaccine. Take the risk. The problem is, it was all planned anyway. They put out they put out the virus, which could, possibly kill, cause all of these issues, and then they pull out a vaccine, put out vaccines that weren't ready, but well, supposedly they didn't have a vaccine, but they magically did have one just sitting there. But there's all these side effects that come with it, and constantly it's just, well, it's only a small chance of it actually happening until you're that person that it actually does happen to. And while they talk about the numbers being so small, I've spoken about this before. Even just in Australia, a country like Australia, we have so many people who have tried to talk about the adverse effects of vaccination, and they've been shut down. Doctors trying to talk about the adverse effects with patients, they're not allowed to talk about it, otherwise they will lose their insurance. And doctors cannot continue operating. They cannot continue in their clinics without insurance. So, trying to tell us that these cases are all very rare, the numbers are very low. We will never find the truth in how many, in what the actual statistics are, because the truth keeps getting shut down. Even when you have prominent figures like what we've had in Australia trying to talk, trying to get the information out, how what was her name? Is it Karen Phelps? The doctor, her and her wife, both adverse effects. She was completely shut down. This propaganda, but all it shows, okay, they try and put out a little bit of the truth and then they downplay the effects. But it just, again, just shows that they shouldn't have put it out there, and they shouldn't have been forcing people under threat of losing your job to take this. Otherwise, just shouldn't have happened. Just another propaganda story about showing the truth that they cannot be trusted. These so-called experts, our governments, these big pharma, none of them can be trusted. The pandemic continuing to give. Anyway, that's my opinion. Let me know what you think. I am still unvaccinated, still going strong, and no nerve damage for me. That's my opinion. Thank you. I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna